I've already hit it. I already hit it.
Go, rocking and rolling live this morning, right on time.
Good morning.
I'm laughing. Energy gain when you get with your business partner and start talking about exciting things. That's my energy gain to talk about this morning.
I know we were so engrossed in a conversation that we forgot to press the like, but
hey, we're having fun. That's what life's for, you know.
100%.
If I'm gonna get up at 4 a.m. and I'm gonna get on a live at 6 a.m. Central, you gotta have fun. You know, that's what this life's for.
Well, and I think I was pulling some clips from our lives, and there's a ton of clips of us laughing. So I mean, it's good. We have fun. We love it. How are you doing? You know, I know there were tornado issues yesterday and the day before.
We were all good. It was it's one of those moments where, you know, you hear the sirens for 5-6 hours straight at night, and it inflicts fear, right? You know, the dogs are crying all night. The kiddos were asleep, which was great. But, you know, Caitlin, my wife, she was, you know, just worried. Right. So it puts you in a shift change around your emotions. But at the end of the day, it was fine. All our friends are safe, checking in on folks. The flooding was probably the bigger issue, I think, for a lot of people around where I'm at. You know, the creek's overflowing. A friend of mine I saw late last night, I got to give him a call today. He's building an event venue and renovating it, and it was up to his waist in water. So there's definitely some damage. There's definitely some heartbroken moments for a lot of folks, and just hoping that we can get them the resources they need, you know, and give a helping hand. So I'm assuming, you know, the work that I do with the homeless, and a lot of those folks are down living in those low level areas near the water. So I'm hoping, you know, not a lot of lives were lost, especially the folks that are homeless that live down near the river and things like that. I know that they don't have a lot of possessions, but when you go and you talk to these folks and you hear their story, you start to understand why. It's not always drug abuse, it's not always addiction, but a lot of people just had a rough go and turned to that because it was so rough. So just hoping those folks are safe too. And just because they're homeless, they're still lives, they're still people. So I'm just hoping that, you know, next time we go feed the homeless in a couple of weeks, that there's still some of those faces there, or there's, you know, good stories of they're not in that situation anymore. Not that, you know, bad things happened with that flash flooding. So it'll be another period of time, I think, where Nashville has to join together and lean on community. And I think there's a lot of people that want to help those people. So
I love that. I mean, I don't love that it's happening, but I love that. That's just the best part of community, is when everybody can come together and, like, for the greater good. I love that so much. Okay. So energy drains and gains. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday I was solo, so I did talk a lot about what do I know to be true, just because that's how I start my day. I know that it's Friday, right? Like, I have to, like, center myself just talking about it. I know it's Friday. I know we've got a lot of things coming up. It's going to be the end of the school year soon. I know that parents are panicking about, like, what do I do with my kids over the summer? We're doing all the things, right? Like, things are coming to an end while we've got new beginnings happening. What are some things that we can think about today, in regards to, like, especially if we have a busy weekend, right? Those weekends are coming up they're going to be booked with holidays and family and all those things. I think a lot of times when you're overbooking your weekends, that can be a huge energy drain, because especially if you're working all week and you have no time to yourself, even when you get home, and then now you're looking at an overbooked weekend. Is there something that people can do to sort of gain energy? And also, like, what if they can't say no to those engagements? Does that make sense? Like, they have to do the thing, so they know there's not going to be a lot of personal time coming up. Is there something quick and short that they can do in their everyday life when their schedules are kind of packed and they're feeling drained from that?
The first thing that comes to my mind, and Caitlin, my wife, and I were just talking about this the other day, I've got a pretty big travel schedule coming up this month in April. And you're right. It was an energy drain. Like we were talking about it. We're looking at, okay, Jim's coming back from a men's retreat. Then we're going to see family. Then, there's one day we come back and then I go to Dallas. It's not, we don't have, our kiddos aren't running around crazy yet. We've only got a two year old. But for me, a lot of the travel stuff comes into play when it comes to the weekends as well, right? Because business is typically Monday through Friday, the travel schedule is on the weekends. And there is conferences I'm attending and things I'm speaking at that are on Friday, Saturday. So I think it really just comes down to communication, right? You were talking about kids, you're talking about school getting out, you're talking about business. Who do you actually need to communicate with to get a temperature check? And I use the word temperature check, meaning like, what is super hot on that list that you need to talk about with your partner, whether it's your business partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member you're going to visit, whether you need to reach out to the hotel or the Airbnb or, the science center just to get some more details. But what are those hot buttons? What's hot around the temperature check that you need to communicate around? And most of the time, there's just so much going on that we just don't want to face those things that we need to talk about. So I would just say, get a temperature check with the person that you're navigating your world with, whether it's business, personal life, kids, step parents, whatever it is, and just get a temperature check. What's the hot buttons that need to be handled with them? And then share your hot buttons, right? To your point, Rachel, like it is extremely complex. We are getting into that season where the weather turns, kids get out of school, business starts to boom a little bit. Not in all industries, but more people are out, more people are doing, more people are consuming. With consumption, there's more people making more revenue. So now they're going to go and then spend probably 30 to 45 days later. So you've got some of these cycles that are starting to move into place. So business is busy, family life is busy, kids are busy. How are you communicating with the person you need to see what those hot buttons are around the busy schedule? I think at the end of the day, there's always work before the work. And we tend to take the shortcut, meaning like, oh, we'll figure it out. Oh, it will be fine. But there is some things we need to talk about. There are some things we need to put in place to protect the energy, to protect the adaptability, right? I'm someone that I can adapt around ideas, but I like a hardline schedule. Me and my wife just had to talk about this more recently, right? She's one of her strengths is adaptability. And I was talking about this the other day. So, just over communicating and understanding what is important and what needs to be done before that comes up. Because at the end of the day, scrambling, especially with kids, scrambling, especially with business commitments, holding it all together is extremely tough, right? There's no sugarcoating that, especially in busy season.
Yeah, my husband and I had to do that because when my kids were younger, especially because I was booking all of these activities for the kids and for us to do as a family. But my husband works in construction. So sometimes he has to do stuff on the weekends, especially we also do docks. We're in Michigan, so there's lakes everywhere. So you take out the docks and then you put docks back in. So it's going to be dock season again. And he would have to continuously tell me, like, it's dock season. I can't do anything with the kids on the weekends. Like, why are you like booking all the stuff and expecting me to be there? And so we had to have that real conversation of, if I'm booking something, I really had to decide, do I want or need my husband there for this, or is it just something that mom can do with the kids? Because we had to have the conversation, which is a tough conversation of, you can't complain that I'm working too much and then complain that like there's not enough money to do things. Right? Like I have to work to bring you the money to do the things, but I can't do the things because I have to work. And so it's a crappy conversation to have, but I had to, I had to have that come to Jesus meeting with him because I just kept booking stuff and spending money that we didn't necessarily have just because it was like, oh my God, this egg drop would be so cool for the kids. I think one year I booked 5 Easter egg type events. Like literally, by the time Easter came, my kids were like, we don't need Easter. We already did every event.
We got 37 Easter baskets already.
Literally,
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Jim, I'm not kidding. They had bags of candy and eggs. And my husband was like, what? Like, Easter's one day. It's not like 2 weeks long. I'm like, but these events are so cool, right? And they're only young ones, right? There's only so many Easters they're going to care about this stuff. So it was always so important to me to do all the things. Same thing with Halloween. I would do Halloween events and he'd be like, you're insane. So yeah, that you have to have that conversation. You have to make sure you're both on the same page. And I had to understand, as the parent that so wanted to do these things with my kids, my husband couldn't always be there. And it didn't make him a bad dad. It didn't make him a bad husband. We just had to understand, like, my dryer. We had to understand where the priorities lay.
Well, it's communication, and I think it's so important to have those conversations. And you didn't want to avoid that conversation because it would have just snowballed, right? And picked up more steam and more emotion and anger and fear and anxiety. So you have to have that conversation. You had mentioned something very important. You're like, Easter is one day. Why do we need to go to all these events if we just need to go to one? And it reminds me of what a lot of people do in personal and professional development. They go to all these events. And do they actually absorb? Do they actually need it? Or are they going to get to that point where your kids are at, where they're burnt out when it's time to actually do the thing, right? Because they've done it, they've absorbed so much, and do they actually want to do it? So it's interesting to hear that in a life, kids holiday season, but to then think about it on the personal development or the professional development side. I see this a lot with a lot of folks. And, I think one thing that we do well is, and in our community, Impact Effect community, is those events, we're not telling you that you have to go to all of them. We're actually getting ahead of it and having a blueprint and putting each of those events into different levels. So it makes sense for you to show up to the one that is impactful. It makes sense for you to show up to the one that does move the needle. It makes sense for you not to show up to all of them, so you are burnt out when it's time to do the thing because you have too much information. So it was just thinking about that as you were talking about it. Another reason why I love how in depth we think about this community, how in depth we think about the opportunities and put ourselves in the seats of our members, right? Like, no one needs more content overload. They need organized content around the right thing that they're seeking to solve, the problem they're seeking to diminish, the skill they're seeking to enhance, because they know it's going to get them to the next level. They know that they need this skill to go do the thing, which in turn brings in the revenue or hires the great employee or attracts the right pool of people. That's such an important concept. And you just brought it up in real life, which I've never heard that. So thank you. That's
And
a
thank you for
brain
making
hack
that
for me right
parallel. Because as soon as you made that parallel, I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. I got stuck in that phase of another course, another mastermind, another this, another that. Let's book another one-on-one. The most important thing I think I learned from one of my coaches is I tried to call something like an accountability session. And he's like, no, I don't call it accountability sessions. And I was like, well, why? He's like, because I can't make you accountable. You have to be the one to make yourself accountable. So whether you're going to do the thing or not, he's like, that's not my business. So like, you have to do the thing. And I think that's part of the reason why I love like the community that we're building, is because our goal is to help people take action, to get out of that learning phase, to get out of that phase of like, well, maybe this course will help me do the thing. No, you actually have to do the thing, right? Like, so our whole thing is we're looking for people ready to take action. We're looking for people that are ready to take that next step, that are done packing their schedules with the learning phase, right? More courses you're never going to finish, more free PDFs you're never going to write or fill in. Oh my God. Which I told you I would show you my PDFs. Do you want to tease that and we can save it for another day?
Go ahead. Tell us.
You want me to show it to you? Okay.
Tell us all about it. Yeah.
We talked about
So Rachel was telling me that she would get into the lead magnets. She would register for something. She'd attend something. She'd grab the freebie, and she started printing these out so she could see how many freebies she was grabbing. She could organize them, see what made sense, what didn't make sense, what was kind of junk, what was a good lead magnet, what was a bad lead magnet. And for those who don't know what a lead magnet is, it's a piece of information. It can be a video, it can be a PDF, it can be a template. Some people call them white papers. It can be anything that you are giving someone value for free, and they give you their contact information in order to receive it. So then we know that they're a warmer lead in the sales cycle because they align with you. They wanted to understand information in which you serve and sell or teach. So Rachel was telling me she has a ton of these. So now she's got the binder out
You
to
ready to
show
see
us.
them? All right, ready? There's 2 3-inch, and these are just the ones I printed. These aren't even like all of them. I'm not even kidding. Those are
Oh
all
my gosh.
3 PDFs that will change my life, that will bring me all the money, that will do all the things. I even like color coordinated some of them
I can
in
see.
like the niches they were in, right? Like not one is filled out. Not one.
So you have the
I got
information.
addicted to the
Yeah.
learning phase.
Yeah. Which it's not a bad thing, but it can be detrimental to your growth. It can, because you're just consuming and consuming and consuming. We've all done it, right? Like Rachel's no different than me, besides she printed that shit out and organized it.
I went to UPS literally for half a day. That's what happens when you're on an ADHD high, though. You're like, I'm going to print these and I'm going to organize them. Am I going to fill them out? No, but they are printed and organized.
It's interesting because I think you're speaking to a lot of people today with just sharing that and being open and honest and real. And what that tells me is how beautiful this community is that we're building, because we are going to be real with you. We are going to be honest. We are going to be vulnerable, because I believe that the depths of my lows will create, the tops of your highs, in hopes that something hits, something makes sense, something's relatable. And maybe it's not for you today, right? But maybe in 2 weeks, you hear something that kicks your butt, that says, you know what, I'm going to go and fill out those PDFs in that binder. I'm going to go take 2 and I'm going to implement them in the next 15 days. Maybe it's something where you get on a live call with us and you share feedback, and you have 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 people pouring into you on that one subject that you need help with, that you need clarity on, that you need strength around, right? We often forget that, community started with tribal and tribes hundreds and thousands of years ago, where we needed strength to get through the day. I mean, we needed strength to, we didn't kill food when we were hunting. We didn't gather berries. We need that strength, that mindset, that motivation that we're going to be successful the next day, right? Caitlin and I were watching one of those shows, those survival shows. I think it's called Afraid. And
Afraid or naked and afraid? Or
Not
low?
Naked and Afraid. We watched that one.
Or low?
We're not a big fan of the naked one. We're kind of like, eh. It's also like you wouldn't just be naked in the woods. You would build clothing. Fine. Anyways, I'll go into a whole thing about that. But we were talking about that show Afraid, and what it came down to was they bring 10 things with them. You can bring 10 things that allow you to survive, right? Like that magic number will get you through. What the biggest issue is that mindset around, I didn't find food today. Am I going to find it tomorrow? And I think we can relate that back to the strength that any community gives. In those moments when you're afraid, you're alone, you're trying to survive, you don't have that community, you don't have that strength, you don't have that resource, you can't have that conversation with someone. So for them to survive in that show Afraid and win the $250,000, they had to have their own strength. And most people didn't fail because they were hungry. Most people didn't fail because they didn't have a knife or fire or equipment. Everybody had built a fire. Everybody had rain gear. Everybody had a shelter. It came down to the food. And the person who won on every single season had their own strength to get through the next day. To say, you know what, I'm going to find food tomorrow. I'm starving. I'm hungry. We failed today. We failed again. We failed again, but it's going to happen tomorrow. And then it happens. And what it teaches me about community is the other 19 contestants needed community. They needed someone else to strengthen them. They needed that inspiration. They needed that motivation, and they needed a new skill set. Some people couldn't get food. Their hunting skill set didn't work. When others who were successful and survived the show used traps or different methods. Like one person was using a spear, the other person was using a hook and caught tons of fish, right? So they had different opportunities around skill sets. They had different ideas, but a majority of those people didn't make it through because they didn't have the strength of someone else helping and guiding and motivating. And that's what is such a parallel to impact effect community, is like, you can be the one person out of 20 that survives this and does it all on their own, right? But we know for majority of people aren't going to survive that. They're not going to have the strength. They need the community. They need the belonging. They need the help. They need the push, and they need to take action. So something as silly as a game show, whether you're naked and afraid or just afraid, shows me that out of 20 people, there's always that one person who can do it themselves. And it had me thinking, wow, I used to be that person. And sometimes I did it myself, right? Sometimes I bustled through it and I succeeded. And then other times I fell short. And other times I needed strength. And other times I needed new information. And other times I needed to just talk it through with others. And it just shows to me that you can get through this maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 10 times. But why not be in community? Why not spend time with people so you can get through it every single time and do it with less damage and less stress and less headache around the thing you're trying to do, the impact you're trying to make, and what you're trying to accomplish for yourself, for your family, and ultimately for your legacy, for your name.
Yes, take a deep breath. I think the show is called Alone because we're obsessed with it. My husband watches it all the time.
It might be fun, yeah.
I think it's Alone. And what we get fascinated about is the people that go on that are so confident they're going to do amazing are the ones that miss their families the most. And that's why they leave the show, is because I miss my wife. I miss my kids. I need them here. And so that's the parallel that Jim is making, is basically like, you don't have to do this thing, this business, this life, this solopreneur thing alone. We have people to sort of see you through it, and you'd be more apt to fill out a template. We'll have templates, we'll have challenges, we'll have things that we can do, but our goal is to continuously go live in different sessions and do them with you. We want to take small steps and micro actions, because I think a lot of us get overwhelmed by the big picture. Does that make sense? Like when you're building a brand and you're branding out and you have this giant course, that's overwhelming. But if we niche it down to, hey, today we're going to talk about just your why today. That's it. We're just going to talk about the why. And you can get clarity around just that micro action. Those little micro actions become huge, big steps. So yeah. I'm truly believe in what we're building. I don't think anyone is doing it this way. Maybe we're crazy. Join the community and find out if we're gonna go insane or not. But I think that both of us, we get energy gains from helping people. I truly feel like we can help people, and I think we have so much value to give. Not just because of the things that we've accomplished, but also because of the mistakes that we've made and that we've learned from. And we can help you in so many different aspects of your life, your career. Hopefully you join us. Hopefully you look into it. Just, you literally press the button, you fill out a little form, and then Jim will probably call you.
Well, well, let me ask you this, Rachel. Could you do the show alone? Could you do that show? Do you think you could survive it?
I've talked about it. I've talked about it with my husband. My husband could do it in 2 seconds, and I tell him, "If you even say I miss my family, I will don't come home. Do not come home without that money." I couldn't do it only because of the bugs. But I'm introverted enough, but I'm also a princess. So it's like I think once I get hangry by day 2
Yeah.
and cold, and then I'm just like, I'm out. There's the elements is what scares me more than like being alone. But I also know that being alone, I would most likely disassociate and
Yeah.
just not take action. Does that make sense? Because why?
Yeah. No, I think it's just a testament of how much we need community and people around us and how much we lean on them. And I think for me, like in theory, it's probably going to be the hardest thing I could ever do in my entire life. Like COVID was the hardest thing for me to go through. But just I'm so used to people and I love people and I get energy from people. So I think
Give
that
me
would be really
everything
challenging. It'd be really challenging for me, but I also think that it's a mindset game. And if you really understand why you're doing it and what you can gain from it, then I would give it full effort, right? And that's exactly what I feel about the community. It's like, do you plan on coming in here and having a goal, and we're going to work with you on that goal. When that goal is going to change because we're going to accomplish that goal, but we need you to take the action, and we're setting it up strategically so you can do it alongside others. So it's just I can relate this to so many things in life, whether it's a TV show, whether it's making a decision today for something I wished and wanted that happens tomorrow. There's a million parallels, but at the end of the day, ultimately for me, I've always seen success around being in a community, being around people. So I'm going to continue to hit that button, and we're building something where we can provide that for so many folks. I'm just excited about it. It's an energy gain for me. Happy Friday. Let's go. Let me go make 100 calls and help some more people today.
Oh my God, I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh God, leave me alone. But but I want to help you. So today's challenge is look at the schedule, see where you're overdoing it, right? What phase are you stuck in where you're continuously just making appointments that aren't necessarily moving the needle for you, aren't bringing you joy, aren't bringing you energy. And then if you have a spouse or a partner, have that communication open and let's like talk about the schedule because it's a lot. Who's going to take the kids where, or who's going where, or who's traveling, and what does that mean, right? That means if Jim's traveling, mom's solo. She's solo parent for during that time, and that's a lot for a parent. So just have that open communication, look at the schedule, and figure out how you can carve out time where you can get some energy gains. And even if that just means you're going to have to shift your schedule a little bit, wake up a little bit earlier and do the sauna, do the meditation, do the breath work, go to the gym, take the walk before all of the things have to happen for the day. Do that because nobody wants to be around somebody who has just dicky energy, right?
Totally.
Like because like you just got out of bed and you're like, oh, I have to go to this and then I have to go to this and my schedule is packed and I have no time to myself. You have control over that. You
Yes.
not only have control over your schedule, you have control over the communication, you have control over your mindset around it, and you have control over how to change that energy, right? Because why live this life if it's not with joy?
Let's go. Mic drop moment. Come on.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have an
Have a
amazing
great weekend.
day. Oh, have a good weekend. Oh, yay. Have a good weekend.